All right, guys. Welcome again to WMMA Scene Report. Not a whole lot to talk about. Well, I don't really have like a big discussion topic this week, and there's not a whole lot of fight news. But so we're going to go maybe a little bit more in depth on each thing I have to go over this week instead of, just hurry through the fight news and then go through discussion topic. First thing I want to talk about, let's see, we'll go over some. There was one, two, three ladies fights at LFA 52 this past weekend. I don't get Access TV, so I can't watch LFA. We have in the strawweight division, Desiree Yanez defeated Fatima Mallet by KO, TKO to punch, 2 minutes, 11 seconds of round one. Haley Cowan defeated Shao Whittington. Not sure if that's Shao or Shay. It's SHA. At 125 due to KO, TKO, minute 9 seconds in the first round. And then the last women's fight, Itzel Esquivel defeated Vanessa Demopoulos at strawweight by unanimous decision. So congrats to the winners at LFA. I wish I got access. My cable company doesn't, so it's a shame because they do have some good fighters fighting for them. I'd like to be able to watch it sometime. So did LFA. So if you've watched Invicta, I think it was back in January, Loma Lookboonme debuted there, and she is making her official return a couple weeks from now at Full Metal Dojo 16 in Bangkok. She's going to be facing another fellow Thai. What is Suwanan Boonsorn? That's a tough name. So Loma is going to be coming in 2-0. She's a very decorated Muay Thai champion. Boonsorn is coming in at 1-1. Now when I looked her up on Topology, Boonsorn fought once in 2014 and then once in 2016. So she's just going to have some ring rust coming in. But from what MMA Weekly is saying, she's fairly good on the ground, or she'll at least have an advantage on the ground over Lookboonme. So apparently that I looked that up, and that is going to be streaming on their Facebook page, and that is November 3rd. It's going to be in the morning sometime because it says local time, 6:30 a.m. or 6:30 p.m. local time. So look for that early Saturday morning on Facebook. Let's see what else. So I can cross that one off the list. UFC fighter Romero Borella was cleared to fight by USADA. Now, she had some major issues going on with the Italian, MMA commission or sports commission, and she's been cleared to fight. Let me see. I can bring up the exact quote from USADA. Let me find the article here. So anyway, she got in trouble back in 2011 or 12 for her and her boyfriend were selling marijuana and cocaine, and she got in trouble for there, and she faced some 14-year ban, and then after in 2014 she was given a 15-year suspension by Italy's anti-doping agency well before her UFC career began. And then this past month, she was given a second 15-year term for violating the agency's rule against competing while suspended and using Italian facilities to train, according to the report. Now, here's the thing, though. Her ban actually had nothing to do with the sport itself. It was for actions outside the sport. So USADA looked into it and decided, well, she's okay to fight as far as we're concerned in the UFC. And here's the exact quote. Following our review, we have determined and then subsequently informed the UFC that Romero Borella is eligible to compete in UFC events because the violation that resulted in her ban by the Italian National Anti-Doping Agency is not a recognized offense under the UFC anti-doping program. USADA spokesperson Danielle Urick told MMA Junkie. Thanks to MMA Junkie for this article. She was sanctioned by the Italian NADO for her involvement in trafficking street drugs, marijuana, and cocaine, which is prohibited in competition only, with no intent to enhance performance. The UFC anti-doping policy does not consider this a violation because the activity was unrelated to performance enhancement. As such, Ms. Borella remains eligible to compete in UFC events. So, congrats to Romero Borella. She's cleared to fight in the UFC. Whether or not she'll ever be able to fight in Italy again, big if. As if she cares to fight in Italy again. I mean, I don't think UFC is going to be expanding there anytime soon, as long as she stays with them. If she ever has to go to Bellator, she won't be able to fight there for them because Bellator's had some events in Italy. Okay. So Kayla Harrison is set to return for PFL on their New Year's Eve event. They're going to have another New Year's Eve event in New York again. I don't know why they're having another expensive event in New York on New Year's Eve. There's no way PFL can afford it. Anyway, Kayla Harrison's going to be at lightweight again. Opponent is to be decided. So not much to say there. She's on a 2-fight win streak. Probably going to extend that to 3, depending on who they bring in for her to fight. Which, honestly, it's lightweight. It's even slimmer pickings than featherweight. Let's see. One championship. Michelle Nicolini's returning on the same card as it's their Singapore event next month. Sorry, guys. I'm a little slow to bring everything up. I had to restart my PC right before I started the stream, and nothing came up the way it was supposed to. Just give me a second. I'll bring this up. And of course, Tapology doesn't freaking have it up. Tapology sometimes can be great, and sometimes it can be the absolute freaking worst. Okay, so Michelle Nicolini is going to be fighting at... that's not the right one either, is it? She's going to be fighting Tiffany Teo, at the 1 strawweight, which is flyweight for everyone not informed. So Michelle Nicolini, she's one of the most decorated female BJJ practitioners in the world. She's, I think, won more gold at IBJJF or International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation tournaments than I think any other female competitor. She's going to be fighting Tiffany Teo. Tiffany Teo is coming off a loss to the current 1 strawweight or flyweight champion, Jing Nanxiong, back in the spring. She's from Singapore, and this fight's going to be in Singapore, which is where Michelle Nicolini, she actually trains out of Team Evolve in Singapore. Now, Nicolini is coming into the fight with a 5-1 record. She last fought back in March against Irina Kisilova in one championship where she won by a first-round rear naked choke submission. She is 5-1. Only loss comes to Norma Center back in 2014 at Legacy FC 36. Ever since then, she's had all 3 of her fights in one championship. She's fought once a year for them so far She beat Mona Samir in 2016, Irina Mazepa last year in April, and then earlier this year she fought in March, the winner for Kiseleva. So this will be her first time fighting twice in a single year ever since 2014. So that's good, one championship keeping her a little more active. Tiffany Teo, as I said, she is coming off the loss to Jingnan Zhang. Should be a good fight. Tiffany Teo's better on the feet than Nicolini from what I've seen, whereas Nicolini is obviously going to be better on the ground. If Nicolini gets it to the ground, and I don't see why she shouldn't, then I see Nicolini getting another submission win against Tiffany Teo, which could very well line her up to face the winner of the main event, which is the strawweight title between Jingnan Zhang and Angela Lee. So should be a very good event, and that's going on November 9th, which I believe is a Saturday morning. Saturday morning if you're in the U.S., which is where I am. What else? Lauren Mueller replaces Shannon Dobson versus Wu Yanan on November 24th. That's at the UFC Beijing fight night. Shaping up to be a pretty good card. Shannon Dobson apparently suffered an injury. She didn't disclose what it is. Let me see if I can bring up the fight card. That's Santiago. So Lauren Mueller's stepping in. Mueller is a signee off of Dana White's Tuesday Night's Contender Series. And then she's coming off that's back in last year. And then back in April, she beat Shanna Dobson by unanimous decision. So Dobson's out. Mueller, the last person that beat her, is in against Yanan Wu. Yanan Wu herself is 8-2. She is coming off a loss in her UFC debut last November. So this will be first time for Wu to fight in a year. That loss was to Gina Mazzani. Early prediction, I'm going to pick, and that was a bantamweight, by the way, was Wu's last fight. So this will be her flyweight debut in the UFC. But early prediction, I'm predicting Mueller. I just see more upside to her. Wu is, she's one of these, she's like okay everywhere, but she doesn't really have like any real strengths to her. So I see no reason why Mueller should have any trouble with her. Mueller looked very good on the Contender Series, and then she looked good against Dobson as well back in April. Let's see. So Liz Carmouche is in the news. I don't normally go into this stuff because this is getting into the more TMZ aspect of it, the gossip stuff. But Liz Carmouche is in the news saying that, she thought she should be the one to have the flyweight title fight against Valentina Shevchenko based on the fact that she has a win over her due to a cut from a doctor stoppage. Well, all I have to say is this. Why didn't she speak up before now? Listen, the way the UFC is now, if you want to get the fights, it's not enough just to win, okay? You have to win in exciting fashion, and I believe her last fight she won a decision. But you gotta speak up. And I'm not saying you necessarily have to trash talk. But if you're quiet, they're not gonna notice you, okay? She should have spoke up as soon as Nico Montano was stripped of the title, and they said, well, the next fight will still be Shevchenko versus someone. Carmouche should have spoken up right then and there. You can't be quiet. You can't just sit on the sidelines and hope and pray and then say, oh, I should have gotten it, when you don't get it. If you don't speak up, too bad. So sad. You lost out. Carmouche lost out by not speaking up. She should have stated her case on social media to whatever fan base she has. I don't know how many followers she has. I didn't look it up. But Carmouche lost out, guys. If you don't say anything, you're lost. Because this is, UFC under WME Endeavor. They want people who are going to bring attention. Well, Carmouche didn't bring any attention to herself. They asked you on J-Check. J-Check stepped up. The only flyweight that actually really made a case for herself to face Shevchenko was Caitlyn Chukagian. As soon as Montano was pulled from the fight, Chukagian was like, hey, I'm in town and I can step in the fight. She's the only person that said anything in that division really loudly at the time. And after that, they booked the ill-fated Eubanks fight, which didn't happen. Of course, Eubanks is now speaking up, and she got to stay on the card. Why? Because she spoke up. Because she made a ruckus. She made a noise. She spoke out. So she got to stay on the New York card. She's like the first fight on the Fight Pass prelims, but guess what? She got to stay in New York and stay on the fight card. Carmouche, as far as I know, didn't say anything before now. I'm pretty sure it would have made the news at least a little bit had she spoken up. Liz, I'm sorry, but you need to speak out more. You're way too quiet. People want WME, UFC wants fighters who are going to speak up, who are going to make themselves known. Okay, the UFC, as far as a promoting body, does not promote their fighters very well until a fighter promotes themselves. I don't agree with it entirely, but that's just how it is. You want to fight, you want a big fight, you got to make waves. Go out there and make waves. Whether it's trash talk, whether it's putting yourself out there on social media and letting it be known to one and all, whether you contact the media to get interviews and let it be known that you want fights, whatever you got to do, you got to put yourself out there. Otherwise, be content to sit idly on the sidelines, because that's exactly what's going to happen. All right, moving on. Sparta Combat League. I was just talking about their strawweight Queen of Sparta the last couple streams I did. Well, I guess they decided that their strawweight Queen of Sparta tournament was a rousing success. They've already scheduled a 125 flyweight for in December. Now, from the poster, the only fighter that I recognized their face was Shannon Sin, so she's in it. As I get more details on that, I'll let everyone know as soon as I get them. We're going to keep this stream short this week. It's been a very slow week, but the biggest news was that the Invicta FC 32 full fight card was finally released. They were very slow to release the full freaking fight card. I think the last fight that was left out was Isis Verbeek. Oh, Isis Verbeek finally has an opponent, and there's another bantamweight fight was announced. So bantamweight, first fight, we have Chelsea Chandler versus Mitzi Mary. I got to look up both of these because they're not on the typology page. Chelsea Chandler. So Chelsea Chandler is coming in unusually with an 0-1 record to Invicta. Usually Invicta doesn't. She's fought for Invicta before. She lost to Scary Carrie Kennison back in back on March 24th at Invicta FC 28. So they're giving her another chance. And then she is fighting Mitzi Mary. Let's see if she has a record. Mitzi Mary is fighting, she's a local girl out of Oklahoma, which is where this event takes place. She's coming in with a 2-0 record. Both wins by submission. She has a third round armbar, 39 seconds in the third round in her pro debut against Vanessa Bolivar-Higdon back in 2008. Wow, 2008, Louisiana, according to Tapology. Wow. And then she fought last December in Primus FC, where she got a second round rear naked choke against Erica Torres. Wow. 31 years old is Mary. That's a big difference between. So next month she'll be celebrating the 10-year anniversary of her pro debut. So congrats on 10 years in the sport. Ms. Mary, only 2 fights, but 10-year career. That's a weird one. But that's for a local crowd. I'm going to chalk that up to. So Isis Verbeek is going to be making, I believe this is her long-awaited debut. Let me look that up real quick. Yep, Isis Verbeek. So she has a long kickboxing career. I believe she fights in Glory right now. She has, it'll be her pro MMA debut. Let's see, she's 23 years old. I'm not sure what her kickboxing record is. Anyway, she is going to be fighting Catherine Paprocki at strawweight. Paprocki, you might remember from my last stream, was the winner of the Queen of Sparta tournament a couple weeks ago. That's pretty good, though. She beat Cassie Robb in a boxing bout, Celine Haga in a Muay Thai bout, and then she beat Diana Schisler, also making a pro MMA debut. That was just a big mix of records in that tournament. Schisler was actually, I think, a dark horse going into that tournament, even though she had never fought MMA before. Weird mix that tournament was. Anyway, so Paprocki's coming in with 3 fights in one night, less than a month out from, less than a month out from her Invicta FC debut, coming in and fighting Isis Verbeek. That's going to be an interesting fight to watch. Next up, flyweight bout, Liz Tracy versus Stephanie Geltmacher. Where is my Invicta? I got to bring it up. Okay. Liz Tracy coming in with a 5-2 record, fighting against Steph Geltmacher, who is 3-0. I got to look up Liz Tracy. Can't remember her last fight. She's coming off a decision win over Sherry Muraski back in May at Invicta 29, whereas Steph Geltmacher is coming off of that TKO win over Kerry Kennison back in Invicta FC 30 in May. Man, Geltmacher's ground and pound is freaking scary, guys. She pounded Scary Kerry out good. So that'll be an interesting fight to see. Looking forward to seeing see if we get some more of that those elbows from Geltmacher again. Next up, and again in another flyweight bout, we have Erin Blanchfeld versus Kaye Hansen. Blanchfeld's coming in 2-0. Her last fight was at Invicta FC 30, where she beat the Quiet Storm. What was her name? Brittany Cloudy by split decision. That was a pretty good fight. Hansen showed off more of her striking. She's more known for her ground skills because she's an EBI tournament champ. Kaye Hansen fighting second Invicta FC event in a row. She's coming off a win over Helen Peralta at Invicta FC 31. She beat by ground and pound, TKO, round 3. Very good win for Hansen. Both these two are very good on the ground. It's going to be Blanchfeld's, BJJ versus Hansen's wrestling. Hansen is a freaking beast, guys. No lie, Hansen, straight beasts on the ground. Going to be a very interesting fight to watch. Who knows? It might end up staying on the feet because sometimes that happens. You get two ground fighters and they're hesitant to take it to the ground. So who knows how it'll turn out, but most likely it'll happen on the ground. Be very interesting to see what goes on. Next up, bantamweight bout. Alexa Connors versus Julia Avila. Alexa Connors coming in 5-2. Last fight was a win over Karina Dom in March at Beatdown 21. Beat her by TKO in the third round. Very good win for someone as inexperienced as Alexa is over a very experienced veteran, Karina Dom. Then you have Julia Avila coming in at 5-1. Avila is coming off a win over Ashley Dean in August. Oh, very recently. Beat Ashley Dean by first round stoppage at WMMA 13. Last time we saw her in Invicta FC was at Invicta 29 in May, where she lost. I guess she hurt her hand. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look this up. She lost she hurt her hand at 49 seconds of round 1 against Marcia Allen. Moving along, we have the return of Caitlyn Young. She's no longer the Invicta matchmaker. She's making her return to Invicta FC as a fighter at featherweight. And she is fighting Sarafan dos Santos. So Caitlyn's coming in with an 8-9-1 record. Her last fight, she fought earlier in the summer against King Reina. What is Reina's last name? Not important to this. Anyway, she beat King Reina by unanimous decision. She just made Reina look very amateur. Not amateurish, but she made King Reina look like a novice, which just shows that King Reina really needs to step up her game a lot if she's going to take on an experienced fighter like Young. We'll see if Caitlyn can keep the ball rolling against Sarafan dos Santos, who fights out of Ireland or the UK. No, I'm sorry. She fights out of France. She's coming in with a 6-2 record. Her last fight, she's coming off a win over Isabella Badarek at Ladies Fight Night 7. That's a Polish event. She won by KO, TKO, minute 55 seconds of round 1. She's actually riding a 3-fight win streak, including Subi Salmimi's last year in September and Carrie Hughes last year in February. So it's only her first fight of this year, but she's riding a better streak than Caitlyn Young is. Of course, Caitlyn Young's not going to have the ring rust to worry about. Then moving along, we have one of my favorite divisions, atomweight fight. Ashley Cummins coming in 6-4, facing Jessica Del Boni out of Brazil. She's coming in at 7-0. Cummins coming off a win over Stephanie Alba back in January. She had to take some time off since then. I'm sure she would have preferred to be more active, but she moved from Missouri to California for work, and then she had to set up a training camp. I believe she is now training out of the same training camp as Alimule McFarlane, Pearl Gonzalez, and Liz Carmouche. Very good camp for the ladies to be fighting out of. Jessica Del Boni, I believe, is making her Invicta debut. Yes, she is. She is coming off a win in April over Liana Perozin at Immortal FC 8. That was by unanimous decision. Moving up to the Komen event, we have strawweight, Mizuki Inoue facing Viviane Pereira. Mizuki is coming off, I believe, a loss. Yep, she's coming off a loss to Verna Jandiroba back in March at Invicta 28, lost by split decision. Whereas Viviane Pereira is coming off, I believe, a unanimous decision loss to Xiaonan Yan at the UFC Shanghai event earlier this year. And then she was, I believe, cut from the UFC. Well, she wasn't cut. Like, they couldn't agree to contract terms is what I believe they said. So Xiaonan Yan, Viviane Pereira is now, Sukuri is now in Invicta, going to be fighting in Mizuki Inoue. It's going to be a very interesting fight for both of them. Both are fairly, pretty well-rounded. It should be an interesting fight to watch. Anyway, moving along to the main event is going to be the featherweight title fight. For the vacant title fight, we have Pam Sorensen, 7-2, versus Felicia Spencer, 5-0. Sorensen coming off a win over Jan Finney at IT Fight Series 77 last November. Last time we saw her in Invicta was July of last year. She beat Helena Kolesnik. Same person that Felicia Spencer is coming off of a win over back in July at Invicta FC 30. So Spencer's coming in riding a perfect 5-0 record. She has 2 wins this year. Akila Al-Hamid, she beat by unanimous decision, and now then she beat Kolesnik. So she's coming off of 2 wins over strikers, one by decision, one by submission. If you've seen the Phenom, she's very flashy with her kicks. I'm not sure if that's a TKO background or it's some traditional martial arts background. But then she's also not shy to, very slick on the ground, slick submissions. Should make for a good title fight, good main event. Should not be a boring one. So that's it for Invicta FC 32. I'll be doing a more in-depth preview of it the week of the fight. Also, guys, not sure if it showed up on the feed or not for my subscribers, but I will be doing a live stream, Fight Buddies or Fight Companion for Invicta FC 32. So that'll start at about roughly 7:30 p.m. on November 16th. That's a Friday, I believe. And then we'll be going live throughout the whole event. And I'm going to work on it. I won't be alone. Should have a broadcast partner that night. I'm working on bringing in my old trainer from like 15 years back, 13 years back. His name is Mark Schrader. He runs Mark Schrader's Mixed Martial Arts Academy out of South Point, Pennsylvania. Guy is very knowledgeable. He has a boxing and kickboxing background, and he's been doing jiu-jitsu for years. I don't know, probably close to 20 years maybe. And he's been running his own school since, man, I don't know when, because I trained out of him. It was 13 years ago when I was getting in shape for to go into the service. So we'll have him there doing some more, hopefully some better analysis than what I can provide. Anyway, we're going to be going live the entire event. So look forward to that. Mark that on your calendars, but I'll also be giving a reminder before then. So, guys, that's the show for this week. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of fights to talk about this weekend. The only fights that were available, I couldn't watch them on Axis. Not a lot coming up this weekend. Oh, there is one fight this weekend. Toledo Bernardo versus Sarah Morris at the UFC Fight Night Moncton is this weekend. I believe that is going to be on the Fight Pass prelims. It might be on the FS1 prelims. So give that fight a look. I'll do a review for it. In the meantime, since I'm going to be having some downtime with not a whole lot to talk about between now and a couple weeks from now, I will be working on some more fight reviews. Keep an eye out for them. They're not going to be going in any order. Be trying doing some of the more recent ones, but I might just pull one out of the hat from, a couple months back. Going to be no order, no. It's going to be chaotic. I'm just going to go for whatever I feel like. We'll try to keep it to some exciting fights for the most part. I already have one in mind that was a UFC fight of the night recently. So until then, guys, stay tuned to WMMA Scene Now, the best and fastest growing women's mixed martial arts platform on YouTube. Cheers and have a good night, guys.